Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reeder with Future Pastimes, and I'm the designer of the Adventures of Conan. And I wanted to do a video where I would talk about the plot cards and how the different plots work, the plot track, what's it supposed to be, why is it there, all of the business about that, how the different plots are supposed to influence or affect the game. So early on in the design of this game, I knew I wanted to have a pile of custom dice, and I wanted to use them in different ways. So the idea of having a phase of the game where you're going to roll the dice and you're going to spend them to do actions based on what you roll was a given. I knew I wanted to have that, but I wanted to have a few other modes of play in the game where you're using those same dice, but you're rolling them for different reasons or different objectives. And so the idea of having this progression where you have cards that have some symbols on it that you need to roll. So like this one here, these are the symbols you need to roll, and this one is a bonus symbol that will get you more goodies if you get that one as well. But the idea is you could progress along this track. And so I just started calling it the plot track because the idea was that it's kind of an overarching thing that's happening while the rest of the game is going on. So it doesn't necessarily have a direct connection to that main phase where you're doing actions, but the idea was that it could potentially arm you with resources. And that's how it became the resource phase, part of that resource phase. You're going to try to do that. So I came up with this idea that, yes, it was going to be a best of 3 tries with a little twist there where you don't want to roll your character result. And I settled on calling them tests. So we've got the test of endurance. So you've got 5 different cards where the challenges of what to roll is going to get increasingly more difficult. So this is the chapter 4 one. It's got more symbols than the one on chapter 1 does. So here it's just 2 symbols, one of which is the warrior, which is the easiest thing for Conan to roll. And then the idea of the bonus. So you really only need to roll 2 results on what you're going to have at least 4 dice when you do this. And then the rewards were going to be by character, because I felt like certain characters need some things more than they need other things. So getting everybody the same thing wasn't as interesting to me. I wanted to have those rewards be a little bit different. And then everybody can get the bonus, which changes with the event cards. But, you know, we have in this base game, we have 5 different plot lines. Like this one is the test of skill is the one that you see on the in the playthrough and in a lot of the pictures. But it gives me an opportunity as a designer to play around with a lot of the other types of rewards or other things that can happen. So one of the stretch goals is the test of discipline. And the idea there was I wanted to play around with the idea of the players having to make sacrifices. How disciplined can they be during the gameplay? So you have a reward where you can score victory points, but you're doing it by, say, giving up fate tokens that you have. And so you're trying to decide, is it worth it? Maybe you've got a couple of fate tokens. You're like, I've got these trade tokens. I don't think I'm going to need those right away, so I'll give up some of those for points. Maybe you are in a kingdom where you're hoping to pick up a fate token, but there are none left in the supply, and you have some, so you're going to do that. But some of them will be like, how many dice do you have? And so you could score a lot of points by having fewer dice. And you can see that that is a reward that's coming up on a subsequent chapter. So I like that, and the plots each plot has its own little flavor of things that you need to do, or restrictions that may be on there, or how the rewards will play out. And so I don't read too much into the idea that it's called a plot. I know some people are like, oh, it should have more to do with the direct story, but the idea is that you're doing a lot of stories. So over the course of the game, you're going to do several Conan adventures. It is distilled down to one phase where we're doing, rogues in the house. That's a whole adventure, but it's just one card on the in that phase that you're doing. So the plot doesn't relate specifically to that story. It's just kind of the whole arc of Conan's journey, as well as the journey of an ally and the foes and how they stack up on there. So it is an abstraction in some ways, but really at its heart is it's an excuse for us to roll the dice and do something different. So the way that you use the dice in the plot phase is different from the main phase, different from how you do it in the encounter phase, different from the adventure phase. And that was the point. That was the objective for me as a designer, was I wanted to get people rolling these dice frequently, but in different ways. So that's it with the plot. I look forward to that and talking more in detail about individual plots in subsequent videos. But this is kind of just an overview of how the plot is meant to work. I think players should try to advance on that plot as far as they can. You get to that third chapter, most of the plots, not all of them, most of them you're going to get a free die if you can get up to at least chapter 3, and then you're just getting more points by moving up, and some of the rewards get better too. But it is the one phase where having more dice doesn't necessarily make it easier, because you don't want to roll your characters. 3 characters and you fail on there. Use those God tokens though. I know some people are like, oh, I want to save it. I want to save the set token, or I want to save Mitra for later on. I might need it later on. Yeah, but you might get through the whole phase and you didn't use it, whereas you could have used it in that plot phase and getting some points and some rewards. So that's my approach. But you play it how you want to play it. Let me know what you do when you do start playing it, and what you think of those different plots. What's your favorite plot? Which test do you like? Calling it the test phase or the test track, we definitely workshop that and just stuck with the plot. It made it easier. So that's where we are with that. Thanks for watching. That's it for this one. We'll see you again soon.